release of Update 206 titled Fieldwork, we've gotten a whole bunch of brand new blocks, quality of life changes, and some brand new cargo ship encounters. It has been a while since we've gotten an update for SC1, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. Now let's start this off with the brand new Prototion Reactor. This thing looks absolutely gorgeous. And the best part, at least in my opinion, it is not a uranium-driven reactor. It is in fact a hydrogen engine, in quotation marks, with a max output of 400 megawatts. That is significantly more than the standard hydrogen engine, which only has a max output of 5. And if we look at the large reactor real quick, we can see that it only has a max output of 300 megawatts. So if you find one of these, hydrogen is going to become a lot more valuable. Now, as we can see, it has a conveyor port on the back, and I believe if we get our spectator camera over here, we can see that it has a conveyor port underneath as well. So 2 conveyor ports in total. That is not too bad, but just look at the design. This thing is absolutely gorgeous and fairly large compared to a standard sized hydrogen engine. But even so, it's going to be kicking out significantly more power than if you put the same amount of these within this space. Next thing that's gotten updated is the projector. Now I have a small little demonstration behind me right here to show you some of the new features with it. Now, first things first, you can now see that it actually has directions posted on some of the sides. So now you cannot confuse which direction is forward, backward, up, down, so on and so forth. The same goes for the itty bitty tiny one. So, if we go to our little ship here, you can see that there are some unwelded blocks. I have loaded up a blueprint, and if we go into our projector, hang on, there we go. If we go into our projector, we can now see we have 2 new options. We have mark missing blocks, and we have mark unfinished blocks. These 2 options will now display GPS signals, if I just unhide them, where you can see exactly where the unfinished blocks are located, and you'll be able to see where you're missing some blocks. So no longer do you need mods or plugins in order to figure out where they are. You can actually see where they are. Now, one thing I am curious of, if we get ourselves a rifle real quick, and some ammunition. Yeah. So even if the blocks are damaged, they will also show up as unfinished. So it's not just unwelded, but it is damaged blocks as well. Now let's move on to one of the main attractions of this update. The large, small grid inset connector. Is that what it's called? It's a very tricky name, this one. It's the small inset connector, but it's large grid. So we can see here we can finally connect our small inset connectors to large grids, and it has 2 conveyor ports. There is one on the back right here, and then there is one underneath, so sort of like a L shape, which is quite nice. It falls in line with the large inset connector. Moving on, we also got a small oxygen tank. Look how tiny it is. It is a whopping 2 blocks, 2 small grid blocks, compared to the previous oxygen tank we had, which was a 3 by 3 by 3. Now, the volume of this thing is significantly smaller. It has the exact volume of a oxygen bottle, whereas the other one has, let's just say it has significantly more. But that is what you get with a large reduction in size, is also a large reduction in volume. But even so, it's still nice to see this. Now, one thing that is going to be really nice is the brand new refueling stations. 3 different variants. We have the large, well, full block variant, which has conveyor access on either side. And what this allows you to do is It is the same as a survival kit or a medical room, where it will fill up your energy, your oxygen, all of that. So no longer do you need to place survival kits everywhere. You can just use the refueling station. Now we also have one that attaches to the wall, which also has a large conveyor port. And then you have one for small grids as well, which has a large conveyor port on the back. These look absolutely gorgeous. And look, there's Zero Legion's cable. Wonder what that thing's for. We also got some additions to the Contact Pack DLC, and that is 4 more bridge windows. Now, the main difference is that we now have floorless versions, because all of the previous bridge windows came with floors. Now we have variants without floors. And then we also have 2 new variants, which are these 2. There is a corner piece, of course without a floor, and then there's a corner piece with floor. It's really nice to see them continuing to add new stuff to the DLCs. Now, the main feature with this update is, of course, the brand new cargo ships, and there is quite a variety of them from several of the different factions. Now, we can see right here, this is from the commercial faction, distinguished by its blue color, and of course I am using a few cheats so we can actually have a quick look inside. This is looking rather nice. A pretty cozy little interior. Oh, no gravity generator. That's interesting. Now we do have some corridors. Ooh, I like the way the lighting suits. Or not the lighting, but the windows. Now there is some loot. There is some loot in all these different storages. Oh yeah. That is really nice to see. So, oh. And there's a dead guy. Of course there is. Whoa! Got some money. Absolutely brilliant. And you can't walk down the stairs. But either way, there is a total of 41 new cargo ships, drones, and unknown encounters. And this is one of them. Now, I won't be able to show off all of them in this video, but at least know that there's a bunch of new cargo ships for you to find and explore with, I'd dare say, some pretty good... Oh yeah, there's some loot. Not the best in the world, but not the worst. And I mean, if you're starting out in space, then this could honestly make a pretty good ship if you capture it. Now, in addition to the quality of life improvements made to the projector that we discussed earlier, there are a bunch of other ones. Like, for instance, if we go into options and controls, we have a bunch more options that we can now change. So you can now customize every single keybind in the game, which you couldn't do previously. So now you can actually change the quick save and quick load. You can change everything in regards to blueprinting or opening the admin menu. And most of all, you can now have prefixes in keyboard 2, which means that you can now have the SE2 block rotation as an option. You can see here I've set up Control plus DAWASQ&E to rotate blocks. Now this will only be 90 block rotations, as you can see, or well, if I demonstrate it with a small reactor. So it'll only do 90 degree rotations compared to the standard keybinds, which you can see has a much smoother rotation. Another change that was made was that lights can now be adjusted by using button panels or hotbars or anything of the sort, timer, event blocks, so on and so forth. So if you now drag an inset light down to a toolbar, you can now see you actually have set radius options, set blink intervals, and set color options. You no longer have to increase and decrease, you can now just set them. So here we can see we can adjust our color, give it a name, it'll actually give all of these names automatically. Then we add it, hit the button, and the color changes. So no longer do you need to have multiple sets of lights, you can just have a single one, and you can just change the color back and forth. That is really nice. Additionally, event controllers have gotten a little bit of a overhaul, specifically the toolbar menu. It is now a lot easier to see which slot is for when the event controller is true, and for when the event controller is false. So that is a wonderful change. So it is a lot easier to just set them up, period. Additionally, there are now search menus for a few different blocks, one of them being the jump drive. So you can now actually search for a GPS or beacon in order to jump to it. No longer do you have to scroll through an incredibly long list in order to find what you were looking for. On top of that, the GPS menu has gotten an overhaul. If I paste in 2 GPSs, previously you could only highlight one and change one at a time, but now you can actually select multiple, or you can change the colors, you can show on HUD or always visible. You can't change the description or the name because you're highlighting multiple GPSs. But what you can also do is you can mass delete. So no longer do you have to go through a long list of GPSs, deleting every single one by one. You can now delete all of them at once, which is really good to see. Now, I sadly won't be able to cover all of the quality of life changes in this video, otherwise it'll be way too long. So there's a dedicated video to every single quality of life change coming in this update. Now we have the DLC blocks, and we got a fair few this time around. Like, look at all of these. Well, not that one, but the rest of them. And we start over here with the rounded corridors. Now, of course, you get all the pieces associated with a corridor set, but just look at this. The detail and everything, the pipes in the ceiling. Oh, imagine what people can make with these. You also get a variant with a nice little light in it. Then you, of course, have the corner variant, which is a round corner instead of a sharp L-shaped corner. Also have a T-junction, looking nice. And then you, of course, have the X-junction, which is really, really cool. And something I did not expect is a transition block. So you can transition from the round corridors to the square ones. That is honestly pretty nice to see. So now you can combine the corridors and everything. And then, of course, we got a brand new door, which, similarly to the vault door, slides off to the side, and then we get to walk in through the corridor. Oh, you can actually... Oh, look at that. There's some hidden stuff in there. Now, we did not get a half-block variant of this, which is unfortunate, but it is still nice to see brand new corridor sets and everything. And now something that I nearly shouted of joy when I saw, which are new floor pieces. So these are, to be exact, called the, or well, it is floor edges and passages and just overall new floor blocks. So you can see there here that each side is unique, even on this central piece. And then we have a large 3x3 piece, which has a central thing, and you can see here on the sides as well. They are all looking unique, and same goes for this one, which has some corner tiles, and those fit right in with the other blocks over here. Here we have one that features markings. Oh, beautiful markings. Some hazard-shaped lines in both. That looks like a orange, or is that more a... Yeah, it's like a yellowy orange. And then we have them in white, a little bit thicker. And then we, of course, have a bunch of different markings. So each side is unique, and I believe the underside as well, because I have to place these blocks down. Yeah, so you can see there are plenty of unique sides with all these new floor sets, which means that we can now make all sorts of flooring, leading throughout bases, ships, whatever. I mean, just look at these. I think these actually fit very well together with the old passages that don't really have floors. Yeah, you can see right here as a prime example of how the floors fit perfectly with the old passage blocks. Given that with the corridors, they actually have a floor, so you didn't really need it for them. But now we have some floors for the passages as well. That is beautiful. Beautiful to see. Coming up next, we have the lab hydrogen tank. Small hydrogen tank, mind you. And then the lab oxygen tank. Now for the lab hydrogen tank, we have a conveyor port on the back, and then we have a conveyor port on the bottom. Whereas for the oxygen tank, you have two conveyor ports side by side. Now these look interesting. They are no different from the vanilla tanks. They just have some new flair to them. I have to say, these look real nice. They sort of fall in line with the industrial hydrogen tank, with their circular design. But I love these little valves and control panels. It actually says compressed oxygen. Warning, high pressure oxidizing gas. Huh. Keep oil and greases away. Yep, that fits. Now unfortunately, you can't actually hit the button. You can't hit the emergency stuff, which is a shame, but to be honest, this block looks absolutely phenomenal. And over here, we got something special. The cargo terminals. You get a full block variant, and you get a half block variant. Now with these, it is fairly simple. They act as a cargo container, have the same space, at least this one does, as a small, large grid cargo container. And it has conveyors on all sides except for, well, the cargo terminal side. So now there is a slightly nicer way to have cargo access in your base without needing to place cargo containers everywhere. As for the half block terminal, it gives... Actually, I don't think that's exactly half the volume. Is it? No, it's not. So you lose out on 625 liters of volume. But other than that, it is fairly equal. Next, we have two lab doors. Now, these lab doors are both... There's a normal variant, and there's an inverted variant. You can see here they are incredibly thin, where you can see one side is tinted and the other side is see-through. And of course, they are exactly the same thickness as well. Or slightly... Oh, wait. You know, I think they're slightly, barely thicker. But even so now we have doors that can actually go alongside all the window blocks. I love that. So now you can make some pretty interesting bus terminals for any bus builders out there. That is really cool. And the markings and everything. Oh, it's nice to have a very small, compact door. And then, of course, you have the inverted variant right here. Now, next up, we got a brand new cryopod, which is the lab vat. And my goodness, the way you look in here, it looks like you are part of a experiment. You are literally just hovering in there, floating inside the water. It's a shame you don't move. It would have been nice to see the engineer bob up and down, but that would have been too much. This thing is the exact same as a normal cryopod, but looks significantly fancier. And it has conveyor ports on the top, the back, and the bottom, compared to the normal one, which has only a conveyor port on the back. Now, even the insert cryo room only has two conveyor ports, one on the bottom and one on the back. So this is now by far the cryopod with the most conveyor ports. Now, the inventory is exactly the same as the... There we go. as the other ones. But yeah, it has one more conveyor port, which I mean I can understand. But it looks absolutely beautiful. More blocks with water and SE. I just wish we could put fish in it. Coming up next, we also have the brand new Lab O2H2 generator. Yes, the good old O2H2 generator that we've had for a very long time finally got some love. It got a little facelift. And this thing looks gorgeous. I mean, just look at it. The way the bubbles are flowing through. Oof. Not to mention it has pretty good conveyor access. It has 2 ports on either side, then of course on either end. There's none on the top, but I believe there is... No, there's actually none on the bottom. So you get the exact same conveyor layout on the Lab O2H2 generator as you do on the old one, but it is 1 extra block in height, which kind of reminds me of the industrial assembler in the way that it was designed. Now let's move on from generators to desks, and we got a new selection of some fine lab working desks. We can see we have some vials laying on the desk, then we have some drawers for easy access of the desk with 100 liters worth of volume. You get a nice large screen, a good whoa, that was a close-up. You also get a nice keyboard, which actually is QWERTY with caps lock and everything. Then you also have a more standard desk with some more lab equipment. We can see some of the lab equipment from here making a reappearance over here, but positioned differently. Is that a gun? No, wait, that's like a... That's some sort of lab tool. Kind of looks like a dentist tool, like a Dremel. But then, of course, we have the corner desk, which once again has... Yeah, it's a chairless lab desk inverted corner, which actually has some volume to it, which is pretty nice. You don't actually see that on this one over here, which makes sense. And then we have we have another desk, which features a screen and a little control panel this time around. And then a large machine. Looks like some form of microscope machine. Like a futuristic microscope, kind of. With a little terminal panel right there. Now, that does not end the desks right there. Or, well, this doesn't count as a desk, but we got a lab sink. Look at this thing. It is a sink, but it is a gorgeous looking sink. Now, we do have sinks before, which is the small grid sink. And then we, of course, have the kitchen from before. But the kitchen... Oh, yeah, no, the kitchen features a sink. It is a very small sink. Look at this sink. That's a large sink. Which actually falls more in line with this one. Oh, yeah, you can see some similarities. You can see the little valves and everything. Oh, yeah. That's honestly really nice. In addition to the sink, we also have the lab cabinet. Now with this one, oh, we have a bunch of storage, or well, not a bunch, 600 liters, but even so. We have some equipment down here, we have plenty of access points for said storage. So, and then we have some books up here. There is a book on oxygen, that's good to see, and then, oh, a good AI book. Then we have some cabinets up here. Honestly, really lovely designs. What is that? Oh yeah, that's another one of the pieces that we've seen throughout the lab sets. So it's good to see stuff like being used between the lab sets to give some cohesion. Now I am curious what this piece is. I've never seen this before. It's like some form of container, but it's not a container we've seen before. Interesting. Now coming up next is something very nice. We got brand new exhausts. More specifically, we got the exhaust caps, which look absolutely phenomenal. So finally we have some flat exhausts and not just the car ones. And we can see here there are two variants. We have the large grid one and the teeny tiny small grid one. Now, one thing to note is that they are called cap for a reason, because you can see here that they line up perfectly with the conveyor caps. So you can now use this instead of the traditional caps in order to seal off your conveyors. Now these of course have the exact same effects as the standard exhausts, but are now in a smaller form factor, and they look absolutely brilliant. Do they actually have a... No, they don't have a little conveyor port on the side, but they have some numbers and letters. Moving on from exhausts, we have pipes. Oh, we got a whole bunch of pipes. Different types of pipes. We have the straight pipes, 3 of them, which actually look pretty darn sweet. And then we have a pipe junction, which I'm not entirely sure if... No, wait. Yeah, all the pipes are hidden underneath that portion. Yeah, okay. I can see it. Now, of course, this block is also a half block in height. The rest of the pipe blocks are slightly shorter, but this junction is exactly a half block, so that is brilliant to see. Got access on all sides, and if we take a look with our spectator camera, we can see that they do have some pretty nice designs underneath, so I could really see this being used for everything from roofs to walls. And you can see here how this actually correlates with this design and how they'll connect up even underneath. So honestly, I could see this being used for flooring as well. That's going to be really interesting to see. But in addition to the straight pipes, you also get the corner pipes to go down the corners. And then you have, of course, the L-shaped pipes to be able to go up the corners. Then you actually have the corner pipes. So you can go around the corners. Now these, ooh, they look nice. And then of course you have the end pipes, because the pipes have to end somewhere. So you can see one of the ends are capped off, whereas one of the ends are open. Now continuing on from the lab desks, we also have a lab freezer with fully openable doors. And look at this, that's some glowy vials right there. Actually, several glowy stuff. There is a whole bunch of stuff in here. 52.acg mx s285. Whatever all that stuff is, looks like some rock samples in there, or just a singular rock sample. And on this one, we actually have a whopping 1,500 liters of capacity, with, unfortunately, only one access point, but that is completely fine. Now, it is a fairly thick block, because if we have a look at the standard locker, you can see that it is practically twice as thick. It is a thick boy. And, well, the normal lockers feature 1,000 liters. So it should probably have been 2,000 liters of storage, but it honestly looks really cool, so I'm fine with it. And just the back design, look at that. That is amazing. Moving on from there, we have 3 purely decorational blocks, actually, which are the lab experiments, all featuring water. Except for that one. That one features lightning. But yeah, as we can see, we have lab experiments block 1, where we can't actually interact with these little terminals, but at least we can have a look around. We can see here some fans bubbling up some of the water, or maybe it's inserting oxygen. I'm not entirely sure where it's going. Maybe it's just sparkling water. Could be. But it is a absolutely gorgeous block. I mean, look at this. How's the underside? I mean, we can quite clearly see the underside. Oh, but look at that. So even with this one, it has... Oh, hang on. It's radioactive. Oh, that's not ideal, so don't drink the water, in other words. That might explain why there's no exhaust. Then we have another lab experiment, which is a big vat, big tub of sparkling water with a little access hatch, so maybe it's not radioactive? Now it does look like there is a light in there, so I am curious to see, can we actually, let's see, if we search up lab experiment. Oh yeah, the lab experiment B, which is this one, the large one, actually has a light inside. So you can actually change the lighting inside the experiment. That is pretty cool. And now with one of the brand new quality of life features, I believe that you can actually adjust the lighting. Yep, you can set the light color by using button panels, timers, hotbars, so on and so forth. Huh. That is pretty sweet. And what does it say underneath? It said radioactive underneath this one, and this one, no, it's a bit more plain, but we can like it being a bit more plain. Now the last one, look at this. Some contained lightning, and it is a huge stream of lightning. I mean, look at this. It's just spinning, it's all mechanical, and this almost reminds me of like a fusion chamber of some kind. But it looks absolutely phenomenal. And here we have another Nettar MGV. Oh wait, hang on. Oh yeah, because it's weights. Okay. But it's incredibly varied. If any of you guys know what these weights are for, do let me know in the comments. What does each of these mean? I'm not an engineer. I might be a space engineer, but not an actual engineer. And lastly, we got the lab hydrogen tank. Now, a lot of people thought that this thing would actually be smaller than the standard hydrogen tank, but it is not. It is a 5x5x5 small grid blocks. We can see in here it has 750 liters of volume, same as this one. And of course, it has 500,000 liters of space, which is the same as this one. So there is no difference between them other than the actual look of them. Conveyor ports on all the same sides, and honestly, this thing looks pretty sweet. It's nice to see it actually falls in line with the modular cargo container. Well, kind of. It is thinner, but it sort of has the same shape, but a little bit squished down. So it's kind of nice to see us not just getting round blocks or anything, but a bit more of a unique shape. And with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. There's been a while since we've gotten an SE1 update, so it's nice to be able to bring you guys an overview once again. And something a bit special this time around. If you've had a keen eye, you might have seen some codes around here and there. In this video, there are 5 codes that you can redeem on Steam to get the Fieldwork DLC for free, courtesy of Keen. So thank you, Keen, so much for these codes, and I hope you guys enjoy the brand new DLC and the update. It has been a while since I've gotten to make a video. I've been very busy with uni, but summer's coming up, so hopefully I get to make some more videos. But with that, I'm going to say goodbye for now. So I'll see you in the next one.